everybody. This is Keith Gleason, host of Indie Comics Relay, creator of the Mighty Mascots, and promoter for Plastic City Comic Con. And I just wanted to jump in here real quick with an intro of a series of videos, and tell you what it's about. So me and Johnny, my lovable co-host from the Indie Comics Relay live shows, we ended up going on a show called Creators on Comics. It's a podcast, I think, slash, I don't know if it's a live stream as well, but we had the guy who runs it, his name is Jordan Finn. He was on our show, I don't know, maybe about a month ago. Does a samurai comic, really cool looking book. We got to talking and he had us come on the show. And so what we got out of it was, so it's kind of a different show. What he does is he moderates two creators that come together and talk to each other. And it's sort of like not really an interview. It's more like a casual conversation about origins and, different creative processes. He kind of guides you with a couple of questions and things like that. And in the show is usually about, like, he records it on Zoom, so it's about 45 minutes a piece. So we have about, I don't know, what's that, about 90 minutes of material, just me and Johnny talking to each other. And I know usually on the live streams we have some, like a weekly chat where we just catch up with each other, but we never really got into a discussion where we just talk to each other and just see how each of us ticks as a creator, and just where ideas came from and how we started in comics. So this probably be interested to some of you guys. It's like peeking in on two friends talking to each other, so and I'm going to cut this up into a multi-part series just because I find that on the channel, shorter videos tend to do a lot better than like long form ones. So I'll probably break this down into about 10-minute chunks and release, one a week, that kind of thing, so for as many weeks as it takes to get done. So, all right, without further ado, here's part one of me and Johnny on Creators on Comics podcast. And then if you will, check the links below in the description of the video. It has a place where you can find all of Jordan's, links for this particular podcast with other creators. So it was a fun show to do. So I imagine the other shows are great as well. So if you're looking for more comic creators talking to each other and, new podcasts, so check out the description below and, see if you and subscribe. You might find some other cool creators and other comics being made just from this show, So I want to thank you, Jordan, for having us on. And without further ado, here's me and Johnny.
Okay, this is Johnny C. I'm a comic creator, producer, produced the comic books Surrounded by Death, Sartana, and a few other shorts. Summon Cthulhu is Hard to Spell, Volume 1 through 3, and a couple other shorts, another one, We Suck at Comics. And I'm hanging out with my good friend and co-host on Indie Comics Relay. I'm going to throw it right over to him right now.
All right, yeah. Keith Gleason. I am the creator of Mighty Mascots, Hero Envy, Swamp Tales, a bunch of other books. Also a promoter, Comic-Con promoter for Plastic City Comic-Con. And with my pal here, Johnny C., we do a show on YouTube called Indie Comics Relay, where we just talk to comic creators and try to give like a bunch of little fun little videos to help indie creators get better. And we're here to interview each other.
Yeah. The day has finally come.
Yeah, I know.
Not even
it's
on
funny.
Our own show.
Yeah, I know. We have such a camaraderie.
Yeah, we do.
On our show. And we kind of started off right out of the gate just interviewing indie creators, but we never actually have interviewed each other, which is interesting.
Not directly, but I think a lot of our opinions and things that make us creators, it comes out during our show. So if you watch our episodes and you hear our feedback, and a lot of it's reiterating the same thing sometimes, but I think we've kind of expressed who we are as creators on the bylines
Oh
of
yeah.
our own show. You know what I
And
mean?
we
But we've
hang out
never addressed us directly in a question to question format,
Oh yeah,
really.
definitely. We hang out
So
a lot too, so I feel like I
yeah,
know you over dinners and
yeah, yeah, for
convention
sure.
after convention
Yeah,
dinners and
good
all that
movies,
stuff.
bad movies.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very true. But yeah,
Yeah.
like way back with you, Johnny, like like we often ask on their show the origin of our creators. Like when did you want to when did you discover the fact that you wanted to write a book? Like was it way back in the young Johnny, or is it high school?
Well, so it's like it's weird because like there's several points in my past where I can point to and go, "Oh, I wanted to be a comic creator, or I wanted to be a writer there."
Okay.
And it's and with each iteration, it kind of defines it a little bit more. So like I can point to in middle school
Okay.
and just not liking to like read but loving movies, and instead of writing like book reports, or like if there was a creative writing project, it would be like a sequel to a movie. So
Oh,
it'd be like
okay. Yep.
Terminator 3, or back when I was a kid, my version of what Terminator 3 would have been. And so I think that was like the first earliest memory I had of like, oh, I like to creatively write stories. And then I could, fast forward a little bit further along, and I discovered script writing and film and doing all that. And then, in turn, I wrote a web series with a group of friends, and I turned around, I can point to that and I go, okay, well, this is where I learned script writing and form, there's a format for it. Now, all along, I've read comics and I've loved comics since I was a kid, but I never really thought I was like, oh, this is something I can jump into. It was only
Yep.
something that was like I appreciated. And I think a lot of it was just like, these people are great making these books. I don't think I'm that great or great enough to work in comics. So that was always kind of the back of my head. But here I was doing like this film stuff pretty intensively on the side, and struggling with it just because it was, we're low budget. We're trying to, string a group of people together on shoestring, pizza, beer, money,
Yeah.
that
Oh
kind of
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
So, and then we saw how hard that was. But then, on the flip side, I was going to Comic Con, seeing how people were creatively making comics. And I was like, wait a minute, like, this is possible maybe. So that's where I discovered,
Like the
you
indie
know,
community a little bit.
a little
Yeah.
bit of the indie community. I started going to a lot of the, and I think a lot of my precipice of becoming a creative professional was going to conventions, and every convention or a lot of conventions have these, how to break into comics panels, and then, frequenting those, and then kind of seeing my peers, at different shows that are, doing those same panels, then seeing those people over and over again. And then
Yeah.
that's kind of how I found myself getting plugged into the community, is that people who are seeking to learn are also seeking to connect. And, given that I was traveling a lot, I go to San Diego, I go to Chicago, I go all over. I
Yeah.
was connecting with these indie creators in these communities. And I found that, that's kind of how I was able to, establish myself and get kind of my foot in the door of meeting other indie creators, and kind of elevating
Becoming
myself as a comic creator as well. And so, I realized film's really hard. I couldn't do it, but I can make comics on the side. And I met artists and realized you can, work with artists over the internet. And that's kind of where my jumping off point was. So
for
there's
film. Yeah.
several points where I can say, oh, well, like I was trying to be a, writer here, but I think that's kind of like the hop, skip, and the jump of how I got to where I am.
Gotcha. Yeah, and like it's funny because with film, because I dabbled in that a little bit too with the web stuff, back in uh these must have been like 2005 to like 2010 or around there.
Yep.
And it's such a harder medium to be a part of because it requires so many people to make a finished product.
Yes.
Whereas the comic books, it does take a team, but it's less of a team. Like it's honestly, if you have a good artist, he could almost cover the pencils, the inks, the colors, and in the lettering sometimes, and you can almost do that in one guy.
Yeah.
Otherwise
So
it's like maybe three or four people that come together to make the comic, versus I mean, how many in film? Like 50, maybe 20
Right.
if you're making a low budget,
And that's not even including the performance aspect of it, because film, you're just capturing performance, right?
Right.
So it has to be scheduled on a day where the most people are available, where the main primary actors are available and committed to doing the role. Like, there's so much that you're critically relying on other people, that
Yeah.
sometimes if one domino just is not there, the whole thing falls apart.
Yeah.
And when you're working creatively in comics, it's a little bit more liberating because, of course there's a deadline, but you're not like, okay, we all have to be here on this one day at this one time at the ass crack of dawn when the daylight's perfect, and to get this
Right.
one shot. You know what I mean? And it
Yeah. Oh
becomes
yeah.
so, and not to say that it's not fun to do that, or, whatever. It just becomes so intensive. And, it's hard to do recreationally. You know
Right.
what I
I
mean?
agree. I agree. And it was funny with the stuff I was doing with those guys. It was essentially five of us, acting, writing, turning the camera on basically. But
Yeah.
like we had zero idea about lighting, or any of those touches you need to make a good film. Like we would
Right.
just turn like one of those garage spotlights on and
Right.
put it in front of the actor.
It
It's like,
looked
there
like
we
a
go, we're
construction
lit.
site lamp, one of those
Yeah.
like you see on the side of the road when they're doing like construction or whatever.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty
Yeah, I mean,
much.
our track for our film track, where we laid our, the base for our camera to move the camera around, was like some, materials we bought at Home Depot. We got two like pipes of PVC pipe. We got a platform with roller skate wheels at the bottom that just was allowed you to, seamlessly, push and pull the camera back and forth, so you can get these like semi cinematic looking shots where the camera's
Right, right.
moving and it looks really good.